Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. How you doing, brother?
Doing very well. I'll admit I feel slightly distracted. We've got so many trainings that are being developed and put out right now that on one screen I've got here, the other screen I've got the training that I jumped off of to jump on here that we're developing. Super excited to record that. Updating all the activation method trainings, all the brotherhood stuff, just everything. And you obviously know. And it's exciting and just riding the wave with it all. So I'm going to do my best to remain focused.
There is a lot going on. There always is a lot in this movement. And, we recorded these back to back from the last one. If you guys heard the last one we were talking about, I just got off the office hours call. The office hours call, for those that don't know, is for the guys in the activation method, not only in their very intimate and private groups. We have 9 men. We usually have, several groups going at one time. And so it gives the chance of all these guys to get together, and then they can get direct coaching from Tim or myself stepping in through, or Arthur Maguglianiti also comes in there and helps these guys out, our head coach. And so, Tim, just coming off this, we talked to one of the guys, and we did a podcast about his situation. I know you know who I'm talking about. And he went and had the conversation with his wife. And he had an amazing conversation. And he was just elated. He said, this stuff works. The movement works. I could not have done this without you guys, with the support, with the tools, the tactics that he's learning through the activation method, and the coaching that he's getting. And had an amazing conversation with his wife. He told me, he said, I was the lighthouse. I remained calm and cool during the whole thing. We had an amazing conversation. Now, Doug, I wanted to punch a hole through the wall, but I was calm and cool the whole time.
You're talking about the guy that we did the podcast for last week?
Yes.
Okay. I can see the comment here. Yep. Okay. Nice.
Absolutely amazing. And it's proof positive that the movement, as it continues to grow, and it's obvious that you're going to be very busy, especially as we update everything and bring it up, as we're always doing. So, Tim, I want to bring something to the table, which I think is really important. I've recognized it, and I brought it up during the office hours, is the way that we talk about sex. Or said another way is, how should we as men bring up the topic of sex to our partners?
I mean, I guess it depends what to do with sex you're going to bring up and what the backstory is to it, right? The masterclass the guys in the brotherhood are going through right now is all around boundaries. And to be fair, those guys some of them anyway, get to redo their boundaries. Therefore, the conversations they're going to be having around sex, because they have realized they have different needs now than they used to have within the relationship. And they'd like to talk about those needs and get them on the table and see how, the relationship can be made to make them work, right? So the way that those guys are talking about sex, first of all, they're getting very clear on what they actually want.
Can I pause you for 1 second here?
Of course.
So I think what we want to do is give the backstory first on the way that most guys do it and why they do it the way they do it.
Okay. So most guys leave it and leave it and leave it and leave it and get annoyed and don't say anything and leave it and get more annoyed and then erupt, usually. Be it when they've had a few drinks, or be it that the timing of it tends to be terrible. And I'm thinking of myself in the past, so I'm not kind of judging you guys. I used to pick the worst times. Like everything would be going well, would be having fun, but underneath there'd be an underlying resentment that'd just be bubbling and simmering because I'd not spoken up, right? So then, it'd come out in the strangest of ways, and it'd just completely catch Amelia off guard, because in her world, she wants to trust me and trust my playfulness and trust my word and so on. So she expects me to speak up for myself, right? So she knows where she stands, and then we set each other up for success. But something I used to do, and what I see a lot of men do, is we kind of withdraw and then erupt. We withdraw from the relationship, be it emotionally, physically to a degree. And then, like I said, we erupt in one way or another. Be it we give the silent treatment for a while and then we just erupt in potentially tirades of blame, quite honestly. It's usually blame. You're not doing this, you're not doing that, you don't realize this, you don't realize that, you should, and I think what people often fail to realize is you are responsible for creating the relationship that you want. It has nothing to do with at this stage, it has nothing to do with your partner if your needs are not being met, and instead everything to do with you, especially if you've not communicated them, and especially if they've said they're willing and able to, meet the need, and you then don't enforce the boundary, right? That's all on you. Anything you want to add about how people usually address the topic?
Sure do. Now, so in my experience with most of the guys, when they go to talk about sex with their partner, they talk like this. Hey, babe. So for sex in the bedroom on a scale of 1 to 10, what is it like for you? And it's like they're having a business conversation, right? And it's so placid going through there. I did this, man. So I get it. It's just so benign and boring. And that's the way we bring it to the table. Now, most of us if you grew up in a Western society, sex is taboo. It's like a puritanical society. So people just don't talk about it. So when they do talk about sex, it's very much like, hey, I really want to bring some fun to the bedroom. I really think we should. There's no fun or excitement there. Whereas when you're talking about something you really like and enjoy, there's passion, there's energy, there's laughter, right? And when I was talking about the guys to Tim, I was like, if I say to my kids, like, hey guys, do you want to go to the playground? My kids go, yay, and it's exciting. I want my bedroom to be the playground for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I got to bring the excitement to her. I gotta bring it to her like, hey babe, either sexy tone or fun, like, I'm just curious. When we think about sex and the things that you and I do in there and the things we want to do on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your number? Right. And just bring that energy to it. Because so many of us, and I used to do this, Tim. So I laugh and, because I used to do it. And so many of us bring these like we're having a business negotiation. Like it's so level. And it's usually because it's an embarrassing topic. We may be scared of what's going to be said. It's an uncomfortable conversation. But make it like you want the bedroom. Make it fun and light. And if you make it fun, guess what? Your wife's going to want to go into that conversation or the bedroom more often. My kids would go to I shouldn't use my kids in the bedroom as analogies, but my kids would love to go to the playground all the time. I want to what I've done is I made the bedroom the playground for my wife. I've made that her playground. And so she wants to go to the playground all the time, right? She's dragging me into the playground because she wants to go play because it's a fun place. It's a place where she gets to be wild and free and have a great experience. So when we talk about sex, I bring that same energy to it. Just like you would your favorite hobby. Right? If I'm going to talk to Tim about his favorite football team, he's going to be passionate about it. Either they're doing horrible but his energy level is going to completely change as he's talking about it and he's getting into it. You want that to be the same thing when you talk about your sex life. This is not a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a stagnant environment. It's not something that you need to really worry about, right? It's supposed to be fun. Remember, sex is supposed to be fun. And so bring that fun, playful energy and you will get back a fun, playful energy and a fun, playful conversation. And when things are fun and playful, they're also safe. And you can learn a lot more about your partner and your wife when you're in that safe, playful energy.
Yeah, I think something else to feed into this, which is kind of off topic, but relevant. If you don't have that fun, playful, sexual energy in between these conversations, and it's much harder to generate it within the conversation.
True.
Whereas if you're doing all the, I don't know whether, let's say you listen to this and you're in the activation method, you're going to be doing certain things through the alpha, rise and shine and the other things that are in there that are really going to be piquing your wife's interest. and starting to stoke that fire of desire, both within her and within you, quite honestly, as your SMV rises. And by default, it's a much easier place to have a conversation in this energy than not, right? It's kind of like if you think about this conversation around sex and you think about a plane taking off, right? The most amount of energy is required in the beginning to get the plane off the ground, right? Well, you could do that beginning work before the conversation even starts. Let's say, for example, you know you're going to want to have a conversation around sex and you know you want it to be light and fun and playful. Then what if you were to just start to inject a little bit of that into the relationship in the lead up to this conversation? Now, obviously, I'm not saying do something completely out of character, although that can also be a good thing, depending on, you know, what it is and who you are and where the relationship is. But yeah, start to stoke that fire. So then the conversation is just a natural, or can be anyway, a natural extension of the energy that's building between you guys. And you may even start to say, just drop little things in there, right? Like, hey, I know I'm looking good today. Don't you be trying it on tonight? Or something, right? Just to bring up the idea of sex. And that doesn't mean you're going to try it on. Maybe you get into bed and you remind her, hey, look, I'm off limits. Don't you be trying it on with me tonight. I just go to sleep, right? Or whatever you want to do just to start to inject some playful sexual energy into the exchanges between you guys. And then you can just ride that wave into this conversation.
Yeah, and you can do this throughout the day. Again, when you started dating, you flirted, right? You did little things. And what drives a woman crazy is when you talk about what you want to do to her in a place where you can't do it, right? So you go behind her and whisper in her ear, "Ooh, I can't wait to be with you tonight. Ugh, you look so hot." Or I can't, or right now. And you're in a public place, right? You can't do it. That's a way of flirting. But if you're going to talk about sex, you got to keep it light. In most things. Here's another trick, guys. If you're talking about finances with your partner, do the same thing. Make it light. It's one of the number one fights that couples have. And most people go into it with like a notebook and Excel spreadsheets, and they're so serious about it. It's just boring and it's drab, and no one's enjoying it or having fun, and it erupts into an argument. But make it fun. Let's dream together what we can do with this. Well, what do we want to do with our money? Oh man, this could be fun. Come into it, that energy, and you're going to bring it. It's the same thing with your sex life. Same thing. And so many of us guys go into it with such serious tones that your woman's feeling like she's being interrogated rather than being playful with. We did a thing for a lot of the guys where we put it in, and it was basically a survey. Had a list of, I don't know if you remember, Tim, but let's just say it was 40 things, right? 40 things sexually you could be into. It was like everything from bondage to oral sex to, you name it was on there. I had to Google some of the things. I think most of us did, what was in there. And you would give it to your partner. The idea is you print out this list, check boxes. You give it to your partner and you fill it out and you guys exchange and you have fun with it. Well, some guys did it like a business negotiation where they're trading documents. It wasn't a fun conversation with their wife. Other guys made it like this really fun thing where they lit candles and had a bottle of wine, and they made it this fun, non-judgmental place where they joked about it. We're like, I had to Google that. I didn't know. Oh, gagging. I thought gagging was jokes. Like, no, it's not what it was. Right. And they would laugh and have fun with their partner. And guess what? They started exploring new things in bed that they didn't realize their partner was into or was open to being into. Right. And they had great conversations and allowed them to expand and grow. And the level of intimacy inside and outside the bedroom increased because they made it fun. And I see it all too often with the guys. And Tim and I, you and I have this advantage. We get to see thousands of men and what's going on in their lives. And we see patterns is most men approach the conversation of sex as if it was a chore rather than a fun experience. And I'm telling you guys, the more you can make the bedroom fun, the more likely your wife's going to want to be in the bedroom. And I'm going to warn you though, if you make it really fun, your wife's going to be pulling you into the bedroom a lot. So you got to get your cardio ready. You got to be eating properly and train like an athlete. Because look, your wife wants to have fun too. And like they always say, your wife's way kinkier than you think she is. She's way more open probably than you think she is. but you got to create that. You get to draw that out of her.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Awesome, gentlemen. So my question to you guys is, how are you going to make these conversations fun? What are you going to do? Don't just go on to the next podcast. Don't go to the next thing. Write this down. As we always say here, in the moment of insight, take massive action. And gentlemen, we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.